Welcome. Welcome to this special meeting of the Sweetwater County School District Board of Trustees. I'm calling the meeting to order. This is an official meeting because we have more than, we do have a quorum of trustees here. You'll also notice we have a large group of our administrators with us tonight. And I think, I don't know that we want to take time to introduce everyone. What your thoughts? Maybe
I never want to miss an opportunity.
Okay,
to say
let's,
thank you.
yeah, let's just maybe a quick introduction, who you are and the department or school that you represent and so forth. I will start. I'm Carol Jellicoe. I'm the board chair. Stephanie, if you go to my left.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Thompson. I'm the vice chair of the board.
Cole Wright, Board of Trustee member.
I'm Wes Woodward. I am representing the junior high. I don't know.
I'm Annie Fletcher. I work up here at Central Administration, work with at-risk students.
Dan Solovoy, Director of Facilities.
Good evening, Tina Searle. I'm one of the co-principals at Eastside Elementary.
I'm Scott Duncan, the CFO. Joe Glenville with Transportation. Chip Rowing, Principal of Desert School, Wampsut. Dr. Principal at Rockford Elementary.
Superintendent.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kelly McGovern. I'm your superintendent for Sweetwater 1.
Kelly Murray, Executive Secretary to the Superintendent as well as the Board of Trustees.
Nicole Bolton, I'm the Assistant Superintendent.
Tiffany Gunter, Director of Human Resources.
Jody Garner, the Chief Academic Officer.
Case Arnoldi, Special Services Director.
Linda Carter, Director of Grants and Federal Programs.
Glenn Supas, Principal of Rock Springs High School.
I'm Stephanie Tolman. I'm the Chief Information Officer.
Good evening. I'm Janine Supas. I'm the principal at Walnut Elementary.
Good evening, Adam Shankle. I'm the Assistant Principal at Sage and Stagecoach Elementaries.
Good evening, I'm Darcy Marches. I'm the principal at Sage Elementary.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We do have Carrie Ellison as our Overland Early Learning Center online. She's online. And I believe we have Kari Cochran and Danielle Schumacher also online with us as two other trustees. So welcome to everyone. This forum is part of our strategic plan. So that's the purpose of it. We're here to listen to community members, whatever your thoughts are. Are we able to entertain questions online as well? Okay, so we can entertain questions from online or comments. Actually, we're here to do more listening than anything as we prepare for our strategic plan for the next 5 years. The plan is that we spend the next couple of months working out. There is also a community committee that is working on the strategic plan, and it will be presented to the board in December as a draft for the strategic plan that will apply for the next 5 years. So that's the purpose of the meeting, but we are here to answer questions or entertain comments. Like I said, we really want to hear listening, where we want to hear I've been telling our staff the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you have comments about things that you're happy with, if there are things that you think should be improved, if you have suggestions for those improvements, we'd like to hear those as well. So, and the minutes of this meeting will appear in December when we do all of the meetings that we're doing with our staff and community forums with regard to the strategic plan. So Superintendent, is there anything you'd like to add?
A couple of comments about a strategic plan and really what the goal is for that. When the district did a strategic plan 5 years ago, one of the areas that was very effective was holding the special board meetings and listening to our staff and our public into the formation for that. And so that was one of the activities that we wanted to do to replicate that into this next 5-year plan. It worked well. We know that if you want to know what people think, sometimes you need to go to them. So we have had, we have opportunities, of course, in public comment periods, but we've had several meetings within our schools and our departments. In our transportation department, we'll have that with our central administration. And of course, all of our parents and students are able to provide comments as well. The strategic plan has goals for academic, school safety features, anything with behavior, mental health, those kind of things. Any of ideas and suggestions that you might have would be very helpful for that. So we welcome any of those ideas. The committee, there is a strategic planning committee, and we will meet a total of 3 times, more if needed. We're happy to meet more just to make sure that we have a quality plan to propose to the Board of Education. We've met 1 time so far, and knowing that in between this and our next meeting, we would have several listening sessions, special board meetings, to gather feedback from all of the people involved with Sweetwater number 1. And so once we get that, then next week we will hold our second strategic planning meeting as well. So thank you.
So we are streaming this, so those of you in person here, if when you want to speak, please come to the microphone so that it can go out over the streaming service. So with that, let's just begin. Do we have any questions from online? Please.
Good evening. My name is David Martin. Is there a place we can see the current strategic plan online, or is it a print document perhaps?
Yes, it's online. It's on the website, and you can just, I think we can probably maybe pull it up even. Is that a possibility, Zach?
Yeah, it is actually on our website under the school board menu, and there is a link right there on that says District Strategic Plan.
And Zach is actually showing it on the screen. Anyone with questions or comments, suggestions? Like I said, we're here primarily to listen. Well, perhaps we'll get some calls here, some questions in a few minutes, but while we're on, I think one of the questions that's been coming up quite a bit in our meetings with our staff and across the district is our plan for a replacement high school. So with that, we're happy to discuss some of those things, if that's agreeable to those present. What the plan is for that and why we think now is our time in terms of a replacement high school here in Rock Springs. We had quite a presentation on Monday night's board meeting regarding the need for it, why we think this is the time. We are on the radar of the legislators. Several committees, the Joint Education, the Facilities Committee, as well as Appropriations. So they are aware. So it looks like we have some comments.
No, sorry.
Oh, okay. This is going to be a long evening if there's no interest.
Absolutely.
Mr. Wright?
Chair Jellicoe, I just thought if anybody's listening or watching this in the future, 2 things I'd like to highlight. One, next Monday night, the 16th, we have the meeting at the high school cafeteria. If you're available, we could really use your support at that meeting. Hopefully we'll have some turnout from legislators and local community officials and so forth that it would be great to have you there. And furthermore, on Monday, we solicited trying to get feedback from the public to help support the need for the Rock Springs High School. And one of the comments that I made is that, we've heard and seen a lot through the grapevine, through different avenues, social media, and so forth, that it seems like there are concerns at the high school. But as I mentioned, that's not the right avenue to actually have your voice heard and make a change. So please reach out to Board of Trustee members or come to the meeting on Monday night and express your concerns. We need to get the concerns to the state. The state is the one who eventually will provide the funding if they agree and approve the funding for the new high school. And so they're the ones that need to hear things. So please make your voice heard, either come to the meeting, reach out to the Board of Trustee members. I will say that I'm trying to put together some of what the feedback was from Senator Kolb. And I've received one community member reaching out since then that I'm just trying to gather some of that information and put it together, but we could use a lot more voices. So reach out to us or show up to that meeting or write to your legislators, please.
Okay, we do have a question online now. The question is, what will the dollar amount be to the district and community, even with the state funds? And I think Dan might be a good person to take this one. Hi, Dan.
The dollar amount is an estimated amount, and they're saying that it could be anywhere around $160 million. That includes all hard costs, your bids, your soft costs, engineering, advertisements, things like that, testing. Then at the end, you have your FF&E, which is also part of the project. FF&E stands for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So things like if you're in your kitchen, for instance, it's going to be a central kitchen. So your ovens, your kettles, all that kind of stuff are considered equipment. Our custodial services, whatever they use for scrubbing floors and things like that, the buffer machines, the evac systems, those that go underneath under the heading of equipment. So, when you've got a 200,000 plus building, it takes a lot of equipment to keep it going on from a custodial basis. Plus, it'll be the central kitchen for the entire district. So we're talking a pretty good sized kitchen with walk-in freezers, walk-in coolers, plenty of storage.
I think one of the main questions too is, we know the state will fund that stuff, but what about those pieces? I've heard you speak previously about like rec board funds. So
Okay.
how does that impact the community, I guess?
Sure. The funding that we get is for what the state considers allowable square footage. The allowable square footage is actually driven. There's a formula. You can go onto the school facilities website, and they have a design capacity, and you put in what the projected number of students is going to be, and it dries out a formula, and that gives you your basic square footage. Now, in that basic square footage, this will actually include the auditorium. It will include the gymnasium. It doesn't include things like a pool, doesn't include any auxiliary gyms, things that are more wants than what are needs. So that kind of stuff you have to come up with some other kind of funding. When you come up with that funding, you also have to be able to show financial responsibility into the future. There isn't any that I've ever seen a hard written rule, but generally when you go to commissioners to apply for anything, wrestling rooms, in this district, we've actually asked at one point for buildings for wrestling. You have to actually apply for with the school facilities for anything that is considered an enhancement. You have to show financial responsibility. Plus, the square footage of that enhancement goes towards your district as well. So you have to kind of walk a tightrope, because you don't want to go too big with things, because ultimately you only get X amount of dollars to maintain the building. I can use 10% funds to maintain some enhancement, but that's only after your deficiencies throughout the district, not just the high school, have been taken care of.
I think it's important to point out that this is not like when the previous high school was built. That was built with a bond issue. Okay, we don't do bond issues anymore. So when we talk about passing, these are state funds that are used for the buildings. And the state money used to come from the coal leases. And that's part of the funding that the state has that is dried up. So that's why they've kind of gotten behind on a lot of the buildings that that need to be built, Rock Springs High School amongst them, that are not being addressed. And that's why the shortage of funds is coming up. And that's why we're facing the issues that we are with having the money to replace the schools that need to be replaced. So it's not a bond issue. It's money that has gone to the state, other sources, the minerals and all that kind of stuff. It all comes to the state, and the state funds the buildings, with the exception of maybe some enhancements and things like that that may come through rec board monies or other streams. But it's not a bond issue that we're passing. That's not what we're doing. That's not how buildings are funded anymore. The state has taken over all of the buildings.
We have kind of a follow-up from the same user. Are there any federal level grants that would be applied to this, or is this just state and local funds?
Okay, now this is just state and local funds. Like I said at a previous meeting, this is my 9th building. And to my knowledge, I don't know of any buildings in the state of Wyoming that have used federal funds to build any of their buildings. And this process is really carefully monitored. In fact, part of the closeout documents is you have to show where all your funds came from. You have to show that if there's anything extra, it has to go into an account, and then it all gets swept back at the end of the project. Satellite School hasn't been finished that long ago, and we are now in the process of sweeping the money back to the state. I mean, it's carefully monitored.
Chair Jellicoe?
Yes.
I was wondering, so we've obviously had some other strategic planning meetings. Is there a way for you to go over some of the topics that have been discussed at those that may be relevant, or maybe bring up some questions from other people that are attending tonight?
Sure. Steph, do you want to address anything from the committee?
Of course. Madam Chair, so I actually sit on the Strategic Planning Committee. This is my 2nd time on that committee, so I'm fairly familiar with the process that we have used in the past and the process that we're using now. Our first meeting, we basically looked at what we felt were important needs. We had what we called, what was that, Kelly, that we referred to, the placemat? We had a placemat, and on that, we answered several questions. Everyone that was volunteered for that committee answered those questions, and based on the responses, we're going to narrow down topics for the next meeting. They're also pulling more information that we were seeking. I'm trying to recall what some of that was. I think we wanted to see teacher evaluations, because that was something that came up in some of the meetings that we had been at, the listening sessions. And so one of the parents had requested that we see what those teacher evaluations look like, so we can see them for ourselves. We also reviewed, there was a ton of information. I think the stack was about this thick for our first meeting. And it included just about everything you can imagine, from graduation rates to YTOP scores. I know I'm missing some, because there was so much information. I almost feel like it was information overload. And so we were tasked with going back, looking through that folder, coming up with more questions that we have, and then we will continue our meetings based on the information that we looked at the first meeting. I believe we did discuss transportation as well. I'm sure school facilities will come up, but the first meeting was basically to get to know each other and see kind of where the community was at as far as those questions that we asked.
Madam Chair, may I speak? I'm also a member on the district strategic planning committee, and it was very informational. We took a lot of information home. We discussed things very thoroughly. A few other things that came up that Ms. Thompson mentioned that I'd like to touch on is the continuation and the process of school safety and the importance of school safety living in our world and in our community. We also discussed parent involvement and how can we as a district and a community work together to get parents into our buildings, to continue to attend our events, to be a part of those solutions and ideas, to visit with us on concerns. And then there was another piece to that, and it's called training. And we know that sometimes as parents, I can speak as one, when it comes to anything above sixth grade math, I need to call the high school teachers and junior high teachers. It's not my wheelhouse. So we discussed what is it that our parents could benefit from? How do we draw them in, make them feel very supported and welcomed into our communities at every level, pre-K to 12. That includes our beautiful daycare over at Overland and our preschool. So we discussed those needs as well and coming up with ideas from that. One other thing that was extremely valuable are the charts that Mrs. Jody Garner supplied us and Mrs. Kelly McGovern in regards to YTOP and how the formula is set up from the state, and really being able to break down your state assessment data, not just looking at the color, but to say, what is the growth? What is it that all the schools are doing to support students on their achievement and their equity? We discussed that in depth. We broke that down. And then we also discussed the importance of IDEA, 504 plans, and ILP learners, so our EL learners. Those are just a few more of the things that we discussed, and we're able to get feedback and talk in small groups and to share our thinking and use that placemat to jot down our feelings and to work through a very structured process that allowed everybody to have a voice. So any questions, please reach out to any of us on the team.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, we do have another question online. It's a follow-up for the high school. What would be the estimated time frame that would be allotted for the building if this was to proceed? And what would be done with the old high school?
The first thing that we have to have is approval, is the money. Once we get the money part, then there's probably, I would say, Dan, probably 3 years of construction. Is that about what they're estimating for a high school?
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Please.
With the application to Chapter 3, Section 8, you have a Mercer that has to be done. That's just part of the process. So you figure if we were to get the approval through the legislative session, you've got a schedule for a Mercer, so that's going to take probably 1 to 3 months. If they say go ahead, then you've got to do your code reviews and the design for the additional 130,000 square feet. So you're talking probably around 12 to 14 months for that. So now you're up to about 18 months before you're shovel ready, and then about a 3.5-year project. So that's kind of your timeline from the end of legislative session.
Let's just say construction's not going to start tomorrow.
We do have another question or another comment from Natalie. The RSHS Parent Involvement Team has a letter that we've written in support of funding a new high school that we'll be sending to state legislators and SCD. We're asking for signatures, and she says there's going to be more information coming soon for our community on that.
Chair Jellicoe.
Mrs. McGovern?
If I could. On the district homepage, this actually goes along with what Natalie is mentioning. People are asking, how can they help? What can we do for that? And so, Zach, if you could pull up our homepage on sweetwater1.org, MER has added the names and the contact information of all of those that are our Sweetwater County legislators. So if you scroll down, there's a link right there in red for Sweetwater County legislators. And then on the second link, it's members of the Select Committee on School Facilities. And so if you click on that one, and then you'll have to go into the members tab right there, the second one from the left, and it'll give you all the contact information and names of those that serve. And then back on the homepage, the next committee is the Joint Appropriations Committee. And then clicking on that, same thing, the members tab, second from the left. So all those that serve on the JAC. And then back on the homepage, MER has added one others, and that is the School Facility Commissioners. And then if you scroll down on that page, then you've got all the contact information for those that serve on that commission. So people asking, who do we contact, those kind of things, that would be very important to reach out to all of those people. Because that's where we have some great support here on the local level. And then we'd like to continue getting that information on the state level as well. So thank you to MER for putting that on there. And also on our YTOP data, just a couple of comments about our strategic planning committee to add on to the great information. Debbie Veras did a fabulous job on getting some of our student achievement results ready to go so that they were in user-friendly form. So we really appreciate the work that she's been doing. The next steps for our future meetings, we ran out of time in the first meeting, but our second meeting, we're really going to focus on the district climate survey. So big picture about overall what the results were showing. We'll take a look at school safety, as we've mentioned before, and then also some positive behavior things, mental health supports, those kind of skills and support that our students need. And then once we do that, then Scott Duncan will do an overview of school funding and resources. Because what's really important on the strategic plan, once you take a look at your current standing on how people are performing, our students, what do our parents need, what do our staff need, then you want to make sure that we ask the board for permission to allocate resources. And resources is people, that's our most important. It's facilities, and it's also funding on there. So we want to make sure that we tie the funds that we have to meet what the needs of the district are to not only short-term goals, but long-term goals as well.
Superintendent and Madam Chair, I just wanted to follow up. I think we might have missed the part asking what will be done with the old high school.
What do you want to do? What do you want to do? I have some ideas. What do you want to do?
Yeah, everybody has ideas.
Madam Chair, everyone has ideas. At this point in the game, I would say it's my recommendation to be announced, because there's so many other committees that we need to sit down with. We need to get the approval for the school. Then we need to sit down with other entities and say, okay, what can first be done with this building? What would the community like to see be done with the building? What is possible to be done with the building? And ultimately, who is going to pay for the building? Whether it's part of the building or all of the building. I mean, there's a lot of steps to go. I don't necessarily like taking buildings down, but there is a lot of that building that, quite frankly, my own personal feeling is I wouldn't want to take it down because the community has needs, and the bottom line is who's gonna help pay for those. The district can't keep it because of square footage. I mean, we can keep some things, but it gets back into the square footage thing again. We already have several hundreds of thousands of square feet in overage, and keeping a building that size would definitely put us way over. So there's something that has to be done. I'm not the person who makes the decision. I don't think anybody here tonight can make the decision without meeting with several partners and stakeholders.
Thank you.
Chair Jellicoe.
Mrs. McGovern.
I think to echo off of what Mr. Celeroli is mentioning, I think, we're very aware as a district partner in our community about making sure that is a residential area for many of our people over there. So we want to be very cognizant of that, making sure that we don't have a building that becomes an eyesore across the community. So we're very open to that. And I also think in order for anything to move forward, in addition to what Dan was mentioning, is, conversations with other entities would need to occur, and those truly haven't taken place at this point. Truly for the fact that we're trying to secure funding and making sure that we, get our point out there about what we need, not only on the local level, but most importantly on the state level.
Comments or questions?
Madam Chair, may I?
Please.
I did have a quick question because I know that we've had a lot of discussions on the board in regards to graduation rates, and we're making a lot of efforts to increase those along with YTOP testing and our scores on achievement there. I haven't heard a whole lot about the ACT scores and what we're doing to achieve higher scores on the ACT, which of course impacts more the high school and our graduates than anything. But do we have anything within our new strategic plan that will be addressing that?
Mr. Supus?
Madam Chair, Superintendent McGovern, if I may. So as far as the discussion of ACT, as far as within the district strategic plan, I think that the bigger focus within the strategic plan is just a solid focus on learning and student growth. But at the high school level here at Rock Springs High, especially at Rock Springs High School, we have taken some steps to identify our needs in regards to ACT. Our ACT scores are still kind of stagnant. We haven't seen a lot of growth over the last couple years. In fact, we haven't seen hardly any growth. They've kind of plateaued where they're at. With a careful analysis of the curriculum that we started last year with Mrs. Gardner in the curriculum department, we went that next step and started to look at our curriculum and how it aligns with the ACT standards. So with YTOP, you have an entire blueprint that the state creates with all the standards and how you're supposed to meet them. ACT also has a blueprint. And the ACT blueprint not only breaks it down by standard, but it also breaks it down by bands of what the scores are. So it takes the very lowest level and says students should be able to do this, and then it increases, spirals up to where at that higher level, what that proficiency would look like on that ACT standard. So we're just starting to tear in. We did some look as far as mathematics and English are concerned. ACT is the great gatekeeper. I think the biggest steps that we've taken so far is that over the last couple of years, we have become a national testing site, and we have really changed the culture of getting students to come to our school and take the ACT, which is a huge step. We're starting to change that culture as far as, just because the state requires that a student takes the ACT doesn't mean that is the only time that you take the ACT. You can take the ACT up to 8 times. And the state of Wyoming is very fortunate because, especially with the University of Wyoming, they allow a superset of your scores. So every time you take the ACT, the highest score is what's calculated into your admissions into the University of Wyoming. So one time you take the test and you don't score very well on math, well, you take the ACT again. And I think that's the biggest message that we're trying to send across to students is that take the ACT more and more. 8 times is a lot of times. And we're changing that culture. This Tuesday, we're going to be administering a makeup ACT. The state of Wyoming authorized us to administer a makeup test for seniors. And we have currently 139 of our seniors that have signed up to retake the ACT test again, which is phenomenal. That's that change in culture. It's those seniors getting another opportunity. We've also taken some time to examine what an ACT curriculum would look like. And there's just most recently a very current study that just came out on the effectiveness of what they call in the article an ACT boot camp, and how effective an in-depth approach, a boot camp-like mentality is for the ACT and how it can benefit. I can also say that Mrs. Kessler, one of our math teachers at the satellite school, has been offering free study sessions to help students with mathematics on the ACT as well. So we're making those incremental steps to improve our ACT scores, but a lot of it is just that knowledge base. We need you to take the ACT more than once. We need you to dive into it. We need you to feel like you're comfortable taking the ACT test. And that's why we started offering it at the high school. So in a roundabout way, Trustee Schumacher, we're doing a lot of different things to help improve the ACT scores, especially at Rock Springs High School. And we are constantly looking at ways to improve those scores. And we're hopeful that we can present some data from this senior group that is taking the ACT on Tuesday, so we can come back and present, or at least share that within a public comment, to share with you what the results were for those 130 some students, seniors that have opted to take the ACT test again this Tuesday. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
It certainly does. I do have a quick follow-up though, and you kind of mentioned it with the idea of potentially doing like this boot camp. Have we ever considered, or have we discussed potentially doing an ACT prep class maybe in the summer months that would, be all components of the ACT that ultimately would result in also a mock exam that would prepare maybe juniors and seniors for taking the ACT itself?
Yes, I'm sorry, Chair Jellicoe, if I may.
Please.
Yes, we have not only looked at summer opportunities, but we are looking at expanding it within our power hour, the 45 minutes that we currently have within our instructional day, as an enrichment and a remedial opportunity for ACT. We just got done processing a purchase order for some ACT test taking guides, the books for that. And I think that we're not done yet exploring all those wonderful free opportunities for learning about the ACT through the internet. There is a plethora of stuff, and a lot of parents will always ask, well, should we go ahead and pay for the ACT prep course that is offered through ACT.org? And the answer is, if you want, that's fine. But there are a number of free sites that are self-paced and can be focused, and they give the mock exams. The beautiful thing about ACT is about every December, a student who takes the ACT in December can pay some extra money, and they can actually get a copy of their of not just their results, but they can get a copy of how they scored and what the questions were. And I always, when I talk to people, I say taking the December ACT test is the best. But again, to answer your question, yes, we're looking at every single opportunity we can to get that enrichment and remediation for our seniors and our juniors. And interestingly enough, we should be starting to focus on sophomores. Even though YTOP covers the sophomores can take the ACT as well. And I have a lot of conversations with sophomore parents. They're like, well, what opportunities are there for my student to take college courses? Where does my student fit within their academic knowledge base? And the best thing I tell them, well, not the best thing I tell them, but the best thing that they can do as a sophomore is take the ACT test. because then we can have that data. We can pull it up. There's a massive warehouse that I can look up a student's name and I can see their scores, and it breaks it down by standard, and we can really dig in. So I would highly encourage any high school parent to please act.org, sign up to take the ACT test, select Rock Springs High School as your testing site, and let's find out where they're at, no matter what.
I would assume these opportunities are available to Black Butte students as well as Farson Eden students as well, correct?
If I may,
Please.
my conversations with Farson and Black Butte have not occurred in regards to what we're doing at Rock Springs High School. So I would not feel comfortable saying yes or no. I know those principals. I'm sure they're doing some stuff with ACT, but as far as what we're doing is combined 9-12, I can't speak to that. I apologize.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, they can know. Oh, if they can take the test, absolutely. Any high school student across the nation. So if you happen to be traveling during the December months and you want your student to take the ACT, you can actually sign up to take the ACT at any national test center wherever you're taking a vacation. It lists all the national sites. So if you happen to be traveling down to Colorado, you can sign up to take the ACT test at one of the Colorado schools in December. That's the beauty of us being a national test site. We have students from all across southwestern Wyoming sign up to take the ACT at Rock Springs High School. So anybody can take it at any time. And I do not believe that Black Butte or Farson are national test sites.
Thank you. Other questions or comments, please?
Okay, let's say it's been a while since I've taken the ACT. Anyway, okay, so let's say I take the ACT. I score high enough to get into the University of Wyoming. What benefit is it to me to retake it again?
Please.
Chair Jellicoe, Superintendent McGovern, if I may. So universities, colleges, they set the minimum standard. The minimum standard is, of course, you can get in, you're fine. The state of Wyoming with the Hathaway requirements also has their different levels for the ACT test as well. So I may be able to score a 21 composite ACT and have a high enough score to get into the University of Wyoming. But if I want that higher level Hathaway, I need to continue to take that ACT test until I score a 25 composite. So the benefits of taking the test are scholarship opportunities. And this is just the ACT. We haven't even dove into the PSAT, which leads to the SAT, which leads into the National Merit Scholarship. I mean, they're the benefits of taking the test and scoring higher allows for a student to possibly receive more scholarship money, but it also allows for the student to have an opportunity to possibly not have to take any sort of remedial courses in college. And it also allows for them to maybe qualify for a higher level college class because of their ACT score. Most of the time, an ACT score of a 19 to 21, you're going to have to go to the University of Wyoming and you're going to have to take an admissions test. You're going to have to take a math placement test for them to make sure that you qualify for, Math 1400 or something even higher. The higher your ACT score, the better chances are that you're not stuck with a remedial or even a lower level math class. So the benefits are there. Plus, there are other benefits to taking the ACT test multiple times. The ACT test is a standardized test. It is timed. You have 60 minutes to complete 60 math problems. The more opportunities you have to be in a high pressure environment, to take a test like that, the better you're going to be prepared for when those same kind of opportunities arise. So the long and short, yes, the ACT test is a great test to get you into college. minimum scores, but the more times you put yourself in that situation, the better chances you are to perform better the next time you're placed in those kind of situations. And hopefully that answers your question. Okay, thank you. Just leave that right there.
Other comments or questions? Anything you want to expand on?
Some of the informational meetings.
Okay. Yes, yes.
While we are waiting for some other questions to come in, if people are interested in attending some more informational meetings about the need for a replacement high school, we do have some other opportunities that I'd like to share with people. I know Cole had mentioned this coming Monday evening on the 16th, we do have a special board meeting that will occur up at Rock Springs High School in the media center, the cafeteria, or excuse me, the media center and the library at 5:30. We will be asking the board for permission to submit a letter to the School Facilities Commission. And so once, if approval is granted for that one, we'll be sharing that one forward. Following that special meeting at 5:30 at 6 o'clock, Mr. Wright had mentioned about what we'll be having in the cafeteria. It will be a dinner for some of our elected officials and those that serve on various boards around the community. And if there's others that are interested in attending, please let us know for that one. That's on Monday. Wednesday of next week, we will be doing a business luncheon here in the Central Administration Building. It will be an informational meeting again to share facts about things that we're seeing in the school, the systems that are failing up there, and really some info in case those are interested in letting the legislators at the state level. It will help provide some of those details for you and just good community information. And then on the 19th, on that Thursday, that's the evening for parent-teacher conferences. But one of the things that we'd like to do up at Rock Springs High School, and I believe that's at 5 o'clock in the cafeteria, that will be another information session. So we know all of our schools will have parent-teacher conferences that evening. Some of the conferences, it'll vary by schools, but that will be at 5 o'clock at Rock Springs High School in the cafeteria. So we'll share that info again. And then also some other dates for our community to become involved with this process. On the 24th of this month is the Select Committee on School Facilities. It's down in Cheyenne on that Tuesday. And so if anyone is interested in coming with the district to share your public comment on the need for that, please let us know. And Chair Jellicoe, if you wanted, I have one more date, but if you wanted to share perhaps a contact person for that, how you would like that to be, that's on Tuesday. And then one final date would be on October 25th for the Joint Appropriations Committee, also down in Cheyenne. So those would be a couple of opportunities on the state level to share really the need for a new high school here in Rock Springs.
And if anyone is interested in attending either of those, they can contact me. I will be attending. We'll have a delegation going down to speak with school facilities as well as appropriations to share with them our thoughts as to the need for the replacement school. But if anyone can make it, please contact me. My information is on the website, and there's a phone number or a email address there, either one. Other comments or questions? Do we want to address anything about the preschool?
Okay, we do
Do we
We
have
do have
another
another
question?
question here, Madam Chair.
Please.
I have a question, why the class sizes of the fourth grades at Pilot Butte are so high, and why haven't we added another teacher to the lower class sizes, or to help class sizes?
Mrs. Bolton?
Sorry, I just want the most up-to-date numbers just real quick, so. So as of right now, fourth grade through 12th grade can take up to 27 students. And so we are funded based off of our ADM. Right now, East Side is averaging about 23 students per class. Pilot Butte is a little bit higher, with averaging 26 students per class. And so when we're figuring out the amount of teachers based off of funding, we always base it off of enrollment. And we don't have the luxury to have a lot of extra money to add a lot of extra teachers at this point, unfortunately.
That would go along. That would go along with the litigation that the district is a part of in terms of with the state and their lack of funding for the funding model that has been approved by the state. They have not adjusted for inflation. Last year was the first ECA, which is an external cost adjustment. It's the first time in about 6 years that they did a full ECA. They had been doing parts of them, then they'd take them back, and the funding was just so unstable. And part of that is the reason that some of our class sizes are as high as they are. They're higher than what we would like, but it's within the funding model that we can have that number of students with the money that we're allotted by the state. So again, that's part of the litigation that we're in. We are one of the intervening districts with the Wyoming Education Association lawsuit. And part of it is that lack of funding over the last several years. Any other
Chair
questions?
Jellicoe, may I share something?
Please.
I just wanted to take the opportunity to share, opening Overland has been for our kids and our community. We continue to have a large waiting list for those kids 3 to 5 that would not be able to qualify for Head Start and may not have the opportunity to have preschool. And it's just so much fun to see the kids learn and grow, and they're catching on to things so quickly because the window of opportunity is open and our world has changed. And we do have a lot of families where they're 2 working families. The daycare side of things, we have parents saying, gosh, they're already counting in our 24 to 36 year old room because they're all learning rooms. And it's just been such a pleasure to serve the community and the students and be part of something so great.
I might add that that's one of the, we know that preschools and pre-K is critical. Many times if they can get some early instruction, they're eager to learn there, and it helps our graduation rates 12 and 15 years down the road. So this is an investment in our early childhood. It's been needed in the community, and we're happy that we've been able to find a way to make that available to our students that need those services.
Madam Chair, we do have another question following up with our fourth grade conversation. It seemed like there were more fourth grade teachers last year. Did we not replace what we already had if we lost one? I think that goes back to you, Nicole.
Please, Mrs. Bolton.
No, we go off of what the projected enrollment is for the next year. And we divide that by the number of teachers that are needed, and we move teachers around based on the need within the schools and what the numbers are. So I'm trying, there's so many different colors on here. I'm not sure what specific grade levels were absorbed last year. Maybe I have it right here. There was one fourth grade classroom that was moved pilot to, I think it moved up to 5th or 6th grade. I can't remember which one, with the number of students at that time was needed. So there was one less fourth grade classroom this year at pilot than last year.
Further comments or questions? Do we have anyone that would like to celebrate some things that you're doing in your schools? Let's utilize the time.
There is another comment.
Madam Chair, we just had another comment pop
Okay.
up. If an eighth grade teacher was replaced, it would lower class sizes, or if an eighth teacher was replaced, it would lower class sizes to 21 or 22. And it seems that our students would benefit from that.
And I agree with that, and I wish we had the luxury to do that with extra money. We do not have the extra funding and money to add teachers to just lower class sizes. I wish we did, but we just don't have that luxury right now. I agree. I think it would benefit us too.
That goes back to the lack of funding over the last several years with the external cost adjustment is the inflation factor. And we all know what's happened with inflation over the last few years. So I mean, see what it's done to your budget and compound that with our budget. Part of the litigation, again, is the lack of funding. The state has not adjusted the amount of money that we get for a teacher's salary from $37,000 in, I think it's been over, Scott, probably they haven't changed it in what, 10 years? It's been at least 10 years. And that's base salary in the funding model is $37,000. So we cannot find teachers to work for $37,000 a year. So we have to basically take money from other categories, increase class size in order to compensate to be able to offer the salaries that we need in order to attract and retain our quality people. So again, that goes back to the reason for some of the litigation that we're in, is the state has not been adequately funding. It's a great model. I mean, please don't misunderstand me. The model is a good model. There are some things that need tweaking. One of the things that's not in the model is counselors at our elementary level. We have to search out grant monies to fund those positions. But the bottom line is there's some tweaks that need to be done, but the lack of funding in its entirety has caught up with us. And that's the reason the class sizes are, in some cases, what they are, because we don't have the money necessary to lower those class sizes.
Madam Chair, we do have a couple of follow-ups.
Sure.
So was the eighth teacher, I don't know why I want to say grade, I must be tired. Was the eighth teacher eliminated, or did they quit, or were they just moved to a different class or school?
Chair Jellicoe?
Mrs. Bolton?
I don't remember for that particular situation. Some of the retirements I can recall right off the top of my head, but if they resign or they retire and we do not need the position, then we'll absorb it. If the position is no longer needed and we still have that teacher here, we make sure that we're placing them somewhere. We have not had to let a teacher go for that reason. Well, as of recent, I guess.
So let's go back. So are there any celebrations in your buildings? We've got the building principals here. Are there any celebrations going on in your buildings that you'd like to discuss?
Madam Chair.
Please.
This is on. Can you guys hear me?
Your light red on the bottom, Wes?
Yeah. Okay. So I represent the junior high, and we've had a lot of things to celebrate. We have a new principal at our school. With the retirement of Mrs. Kundle, Mr. Urban has stepped in, and I would just say he's doing a bang-up job of building relationships with staff and with students and with parents. There's been a lot of, we did have a lot of new teachers that we hired, which was exciting because we hired a lot of teachers instead of just having all long-term subs like we've had in the past. And we brought in some really good staff. Even when the district took one of our really solid teachers and made her a principal, we were able to fill that position. But overall, when you go around the junior high, there's just a good feel right now. And there's a lot of effort being made focusing in on the new district policy with meeting proficiency and having them at grade, at their grade level meeting proficiency before they move on. We've proposed some things for the district to look at in how to flesh that out. And there's certain tiers that we can do already without approval that we're working on. And then there are some things that we're looking at. So what if none of the things that we're doing work? What do we do next? That's where we need the district's help. And they're looking at that. But really the questions that are abounding are, how do we help these students with their various needs, both struggling and succeeding? What do we do for those students? So it's just, there's a lot of fun things happening at the junior high, and just wanted to celebrate that a little bit. We also brought in a new assistant principal, Mr. Lott. He's a lot of fun and brings a lot of, why did everybody laugh when I said that? He brings a lot of understanding of students. And an example, just today, he was able to break down a situation and identify just what it was that student needed. And we were able to help that student out of a kind of a crisis situation. And I just kind of sat back and watched, and I thought, wow, this is pretty impressive. So there's just a lot of really good things happening at junior high. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share.
Thank you. Superintendent McGovern?
Sure. Thank you, Chair Jellicoe. One thing that I would like to say is October is Principal Appreciation Month. And so I want to extend a deep thank you to our leadership team, to our principals, to our assistant principals, directors, assistant directors, and all of those that work up at the central administration building, whether it's finance or IT, curriculum, but to all the leaders in the district and to our staff. There's lots of long hours and days that our administrators do in their various roles. And I know it's a difficult position at times. And so I just want to extend a sincere thank you to them for what they do and how much they are appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other celebrations people would like to talk about? Mrs. Searle?
Madam, yeah,
Please.
thank you. Well, we could just go on forever. We have a few things to celebrate with Walnut and Rock Springs High School. We conducted a reunification drill today. The 3 schools, not 1, but 3, K through 12. Okay, right there. Woot, woot. Not only was the planning beautifully executed with the team, along with, we partnered with Rock Springs Police Department, Rock Springs Fire Department, our district Department of Transportation and Maintenance, as well as we partnered with the staff up at Western Wyoming Community College. And then, of course, our communities.
Let
and
us not forget our
team.
cab staff.
And
team.
cab staff. I know, I
They
was
were-
still going.
Come on.
I'm
now.
still counting. Make 7, Nicole. And, you know, you can plan and plan, and you still, when the day comes, you don't sleep the night before. You're like, ooh, how's this going to go? Did we send out enough communication? Does our staff feel supported? Do our families feel supported? Something that Mr. and Mrs. Supis, myself, and Dr. Wells did, we conducted and welcomed families 2 days before the reunification to a meeting, and we had a lovely turnout, parents that asked great questions. And so we felt that that was a very positive thing to do before that drill was executed. So then you walk into the drill, and it was beautiful. There's always room for improvement, right? But we're going to celebrate. Let's celebrate the children. They rocked that drill. They were incredible. K through 12. It was impressive. They sat beautifully. They knew what to do. Their teachers had signs. They were just chill. They were looking around the college at all the banners, and the parents were lovely. I purposely walked around everywhere and took photos, and we just welcomed parents, and they were very patient and kind to us. Cab personnel and personnel from all the buildings were working so efficiently and effectively together. It just felt really good, and it was the right work to do. We're very passionate about school safety. We have to be. It's what we're charged to do, and it's what we should want to do. And so that was just a huge celebration. It was fun, and it was exciting to see all those kinders and then all the cool high schoolers. And then there's our children sitting in the middle going, wow, this is cool. It was just great. It was a great day. We're going to sleep well tonight.
Yes, I did get the unique opportunity to walk a Walnut, an Eastside, and a 12th grader out at the same time today. And my granddaughters were the little ones, so I'll admit that. But they were looking at the high schooler, the 12th grader, who's that? Who are you? And she was just so great with them. Just such an awesome experience to see these big kids building relationships with their small kids.
Thank you. Other celebrations?
Sure, Jellicoe. I'll
Mr. Wright.
share one thing. So on Monday night at the board meeting, I couldn't think of the word professional development. And that finally came to me when I was driving home that night. But I was trying to celebrate at that time that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from different staff. I've been trying to make it around to some schools this year. And if I haven't been to your school yet, I hope to be there soon. But in any case, just visiting with teachers and students even. But I do know that we've conducted those upbeat surveys recently. And one of my desires was that we follow up on some of the lower scoring items and just trying to really improve the morale of our district, which I think then has the impact on the students. But in any case, what I want to do is celebrate and say thanks to all the time and effort that's been put into the changes that have been made in response to those upbeat surveys. I know staff has really appreciated the different speakers that have come in this year. I know that they're really enjoying extra time in their classrooms on Fridays. I know that the professional development has been very appreciated. And most recently, and a shout out to Jody and Nicole, is the grade level trainings that have been happening. So one of the pieces of feedback on the Upbeat surveys was just communication between schools on a grade level. In other words, in the past, we've had a lot of like schools working compartmentalized, where just that grade level's been working with the 2 or 3 teachers that share in that building. But in this most recent opportunity, the teachers have been able, like all second grade teachers from the entire district have been able to get together and share strengths and share weaknesses and how things can improve. And you've done that at a variety of grade levels, and I think more to come. But a lot of positive feedback on that. And I just want to, a shout out to the Upbeat survey and to the following surveys that I know we have coming up, that we're actually taking actionable steps to try to improve on that feedback. So good job, Nicole, Jody, and the rest of the staff for all the positive changes there.
Mrs. Bolton.
To build off what Cole said, I have not had this much fun in so long. I mean, we've had administrators have attended all of them with their schools. It's been a very united message. It's been a very united effort. Oh my gosh, the energy and the work that these teachers do and the ideas that they share. And my stomach hurts when I go home. And I can tell you the nights of the training, I'm usually in bed by 8. I just can't make it anymore. We've had people coming in going, what is going on in here? Yeah.
Wait, Nicole, clarify why your stomach hurts when you go home.
From laughing,
Okay, thank you,
so
thank you.
hard. But I just want to thank our administrators and our teachers because they have shown up and been very active participants, have contributed a lot of very good ideas, and they have made this one of the most enjoyable experiences that I've led, and I know that Jody has complimented the same. So I just want to thank the teachers and the principals because they have made this really what it is.
Thank you. Other comments or questions? Celebrations?
Celebrations, if I may, Chair Jellicoe.
Mr. Supas.
Thank you. There's quite a few things to celebrate at Rock Springs High School. First, tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, Rock Springs High School will be hosting its first parent volunteer training. We have invited our parents through the work with our parent involvement team, our PIT team. I'd like to celebrate them as well for all the work they're doing to help Rock Springs High School and the need for having parents in the building. And tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the library, we're going to have our first parent training to introduce the parents to the building, some of our routines and procedures, how we operate, and hopefully we will be having more and more parents show up. It's not the watchdogs like Eastside has. We've been toying around with the idea of the Tiger Guardians or, something like that for, catchy name. I'm not much on the catchy name thing, but anyhow, but we're very excited about this new chapter, getting parents in and getting them trained up and then having them come into the building and be a presence with our students at the school. And a lot of that had to do an organization with the parent involvement team. So I'd like to thank them and all that they're doing to help support our school. And we have all kinds of great things going on. Fall sports competitions are wrapping up, and we're already getting geared up for winter sports. It doesn't take long, especially when it's a little bit cold outside, to realize that it's almost basketball season. So it's a fun time to be at the high school. Kids are getting very excited for what we're trying to do at the school. I'd love to celebrate the staff at Rock Springs High School for all their hard work. We had our reunification today, and it is a challenge to reunify just as a high school with 1,400 students, but it's also a challenge to reunify with 2 other schools. and that coordination. And I too was walking around and was amazed at seeing orange and purple vests along with the green and orange vests. Everybody was just working together. It was phenomenal to just see people just jumping in, and it didn't care. No one cared where they were from. It wasn't the squirrels taking care of the squirrels and the eagles taking care of the eagles. It was everybody. Everybody, all the staff members of all three schools were there to take care of our kids. And that was beautiful. We learned a lot from the reunification. We have a lot of things that we need to take a look at. But I want to celebrate not just the staff at Rock Springs High School, but the staff at Eastside and the staff at Walnut, because no one hesitated, jumped in and just got after it. And it was a great drill. So thank you for giving me the opportunity. I know I'm missing a ton of other celebrations, but thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mrs. Supus.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you. So like all of the other K-3 buildings, there's always 100 things to celebrate at any given 5-minute time. But one of the things that Walnut has embraced this year, we used to do reading buddies once a week. There's lots of ways everybody, gets kids from different grade levels crossing each other's paths and different teachers to advocate for each other and to be support and build those relationships. But we decided this year to change that up a little bit, and we're doing STEAM teams. So we had our first one a couple weeks ago, and our STEAM teams, the kindergarten teachers came up with an activity that everybody did. Kindergarten and second grade partnered up, first grade and third grade classes partnered up, and they were given a handful of marshmallows, a handful of spaghetti. They had to build a structure, and it had to be freestanding, and then they competed to see whose structure would hold the most weight. The weight could be anything they wanted. You should have seen kids working together, and they were in either partners of 2 or sometimes groups of 3, depending on the classes and kids, what their preferences were. It's amazing. We have the next one coming up towards the end of the month, and the second and third grade teams are planning this one. And so we don't know what it will be yet, but the kids are already asking about it, and when did they get to go see their big kids? We're also getting ready to, hopefully once a quarter, we're going to be working with Eastside and doing reading buddies that way, so we can have some of our 4th grade friends come back to their home schools or visit other elementary schools. And we'll be doing that in conjunction with Desert View to do our older kids coming and doing reading buddies once a quarter. So it's just another way of building up relationships, helping our kids feel more comfortable and confident as they know that they're going to, maybe be getting ready to go to another school as 3rd graders next year moving into 4th grade. And that, see, this is still really cool and fun. And so we've got all of those good things going on that make kids enjoy coming to school. That's why they come in smiling. All of those reasons why they come in, and they give hugs and high fives, and they sing in the hallway. They sing in the bathrooms. You can hear it down the hall. They sing everywhere they go, and they enjoy coming into our buildings every day, and they feel safe. So those are some of our celebrations. Thanks.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Please.
I would also like to just thank the junior high and high school, the principals and the staff. We have had kids coming in every Monday and Wednesday from the high school to the preschool, Head Start, and daycare. And these great big towering kids come in and interact with our littles, and they love it. They love being read to, play at recess, whatever it is, but they love working with them. And then second time the kids come back, they're usually like, I want to go to the same classroom. I want to work with those same kids, because they're on a rotation basis. So I would like to thank the academies at Rock Springs High School. I would also like to thank the junior high. We do have kids in the child development classes that are coming in, and they are learning about the different stages. They've done a tour of the building, and they have also come in and helped on their own time, whether it be after school or even some Fridays. And we're just really finding that it helps people to find their passion when they have that opportunity.
Thank you.
Chair Jellicoe, Superintendent McGovern, I would love to celebrate North Park if possible.
Please.
Okay, North Park and others. So out at North Park, we have one of those catchy names, our North Park Pride tickets. And those North Park Pride tickets really focus on that PBIS and creating those good little humans, those good citizens. And we actually this year shared those North Park Pride tickets with our bus drivers. We're a fairly small school. We have 3 buses. And so I had plenty of time to meet with our bus drivers and explain the tickets and have them get on board. And it's been pretty fun talking with our bus drivers in the morning, having them tell me that the kids have taught them the right way. Because I told them to give the kids the white tickets, but nope, it was the yellow tickets. And so we found out the drivers did, sorry about that, Joe, the hard way, what tickets to get. But it's been fantastic. So I've had the drivers come back, ask for more tickets because they're giving out those tickets. And another example of how caring some of your drivers have been, we had a little girl who missed the bus this week, and she came in and she was out front of the school, and I met her and she was pretty upset, and the driver saw too. And so she got off the bus that she already unloaded her kids and came and met her and gave her a hug, and she was upset because she missed the bus. And the driver said, "I'm so sorry, I didn't see you come out. I didn't see you there. I will make sure that I'll look from now on. We won't miss you again." And she helped turn that little girl's day around right from the start before we even got in the building. So the work that you're doing with your team is fantastic, and we feel that, and it helps our whole school and our kids grow too. We also had our fall carnival, which was an amazing turnout. I think I got pied about 315 times from a few people in here too, but that's all right. Still love you. But we couldn't have had such a successful event if we did not have our 27 high school academy students come and support us as well. And a huge shout out. They were so fun. We put some of those high school kiddos in that dance party room, and watching them try to do some of those dance moves was fantastic. We were learning all kinds of things. We had four academy kiddos working the pieing event, and they enjoyed it so much that they got pied after too. They wanted to pie each other. Hey, okay, whatever you guys want. But the energy that they brought was fantastic, and it was an amazing night because of the support. So I want to thank you guys, all of you guys, for helping our community out at North Park.
Thank you. Others?
Chair Jellicoe, Superintendent McGovern.
Please.
I would like to take a minute to build off of what Mr. Grube was talking about, that here at Sweetwater One, we're pretty lucky to be able to have some extra funding from the federal government and a state consortium that allows us to put a focus on student mental health. Knowing that if students come to us and they are worried about their safety, they're worried about life in general, they are struggling with depression or anxiety or a conduct disorder, that they're not going to be ready to learn. So we're lucky enough to be able to provide outside counseling free of cost to any student who has a demonstrated need. The one requirement is parent consent. As long as a parent consents, we will remove every other barrier under the sun to get students the care that they need. As part of those same funding streams, we also are very lucky to be able to provide training and services to our staff and to our community. We've been training people in what we call youth mental health first aid, which if you think about regular first aid and how we are the first one to jump in when someone has a heart attack or someone falls and scrapes their knee, we should also, as good humans, do the same thing when we see someone in a mental health crisis. We have been implementing a strength-based resiliency program at the high school, at the junior high, and we're adding Black Butte that focuses on building students' strengths and teaching them resiliency, teaching them that life is going to throw bumps in your road. And if you know the strengths that are within you and you can draw those strengths out in others, that together we can get through things. So as much as we're about test scores and we know that learning is important, our kids are our hearts, and we take care of all of them. And we've been very lucky. Superintendent McGovern has reached out and been willing to be kind of the guinea pig district for some of these initiatives throughout the state. The same consortium is the one advocating for changes in the funding model, so we can get those elementary school counselors funded. So we can get those counselor to student ratios down to where they're supposed to be, which is about 250 to 1. That's not what the state funds us at. If we don't take care of our whole kids, then they're not going to be there and be ready to learn. So Superintendent McGovern, we're very grateful for your support and for all of the principals and all of the parents who've jumped on board and been willing to help our kids.
Thank you. Please.
We're going to celebrate Wamsutter today. We had to call an audible this morning. We had a field trip that was scheduled with the Wyoming Fish and Game. Our Wyoming Fish and Game officer got called out for an investigation. So duty calls, we understood. We went back to school and we carried on, and we had our first quarter awards ceremony today. And it was amazing. You know, all our parents, it was supposed to be over at 3:30, but our parents were still there at 3:50, talking to our teachers and telling them how great they were, and that was great. Our teachers are great. Our teachers do a lot of extra, thanks to Joe here. He let us have another Suburban over the last couple of weeks because somehow we played full contact Foursquare, and our bus driver got hurt playing Foursquare with our kids. So we had to drive our high school over the last couple of weeks. But at the same time, man, that award ceremony today was awesome. All of our kids were so excited. At our K-1 class, they sang and recited a book, an entire book. Now, granted, it was a K-1 book, but it was a book that they recited for all of our parents. And it was amazing to see all those parents in the building, see all those kids get recognized in front of their parents. But the most amazing thing was when those parents got together at their time. They could have left, they could have stayed. They chose to stay and talk with our teachers and praise them and tell them how good of a job they've been doing and how thankful they really were. So we were appreciative of that. Had a great day.
Thank you. Others? Kind of final chance.
I think this is on. I just wanted to take a minute. I have the privilege of being at two schools, and the nice thing is for me, being able to see both staffs just doing a great job. I mean, both staffs are working very hard, and our kids are doing a tremendous job in the classroom and improving. I also really enjoy getting to go to our staff developments with our grade levels. That's been a good experience for me so far as an assistant at both. And I just think that our teachers need the credit that they deserve, which is they're doing amazing work and they're working very hard, and we're doing everything we can to help churn out very, very good kids at every chance we get.
Thank you. Please.
Thank you. Well, so I have a few positive comments to make about SAGE. First of all, I would like to thank all of our parents and students and our wonderful PTO. We've been selling jerky, and to date, we don't have everything, and we've raised $13,000. So that's right. Yes.
Yes.
Not all counted.
I think I bought $1,000 of that.
We won't discuss that. And also, I just overheard a conversation today. We had someone in the building, and they were in the office area, and they said, "I just love coming into this school because everybody is so kind and welcoming." And it's actually funny. They make fun of us because we say good morning so frequently that there's like little tallies in the office sometimes that they make to hear all the good mornings. And I think that that welcoming feeling is so very important to kids and parents and students and staff, and that does really truly exist in our school, and I'm very proud of everyone that creates that environment there. So I think that our teachers are amazing, but I think too that we need to just recognize our whole staff for being a place where people feel welcomed. That's very important. So thank you.
We're coming to the conclusion. So I would like to thank everyone that attended in person as well as online tonight. Thank all of the administrators that were here. Thank you for sharing the things that are going on in your buildings. And thanks for everything that you're doing to help our kids be successful and grow into very functioning citizens in this crazy world that we're living in right now. So Superintendent, I don't know if you have any final remarks, but, okay.
Good, thank
But
you.
thank you so much for attending tonight, and hopefully we'll be able to have more participation as we continue this process. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.